added to Toronto in replacing DeRozan. I don't know if he's brought good quiet karma, good vibes in the locker room. Not to mention on the court. But 12-1 is crazy.
I mean, he's averaging a career high, I think, like 25, 26 points a game, which something he was never able to do with Popovich's team in the Spurs.
Right. Yeah, he's got a little more free reign to do his thing.
And he's still as good defensively as they come.
Yeah, well, that was just Toronto really made the right move there.
Yeah.
I mean, at 6-4, San Antonio isn't exactly burning up their division,
right?
But but the Toronto, that's one of the big relative surprises I think so far this season.
And then the other big free agent that was saying he would come to the Knicks is Kyrie Irving, but he made that statement earlier in the season saying he was going to re-sign with Boston. Who knows if that's really true, but he told the fans that. Boston's only 7-5. They're not doing, oh my God, crazy good. But there's no reason. It'd be hard for me to see them not being a 50-win team, by the end of the season.
Yeah, I think they're just not quite gelling yet.
Maybe too many cooks
back after a year out and everything. So.
Yeah, maybe too many cooks in the kitchen. Too many. Yeah. There's too many good players on that team.
Possibly, yeah. They have to really get things. The coaching staff has to get that team kind of sorted out with minutes and responsibilities and everything. To your point,
right? But it just doesn't seem like After that, you look at other guys. Klay Thompson. He said he wants to stay with the Warriors, although he is not the superstar that the other four guys are. Kemba Walker. He's from New York. Although he also said he wants to stay in Charlotte. Again, I don't think he's having a hell of a season. But
I know.
Defensively, he might not be the player that is. There's talk that he might not be the player. I mean, what do you think about a guy like Kemba Walker coming to the Knicks this year? Or would you want a player like him, or would you rather wait another year to maybe potentially get an Anthony Davis or another superstar in 2020?
Well, I think I'd rather wait. Kemba, I like Kemba. He's a real scorer and everything, but I think I'd rather wait and see if we can get even somebody better like an Anthony Davis. To your point, and I do like Klay Thompson. I think I'd rather have Klay Thompson than Kemba Walker because Thompson he's got more size to him. He's just a very solid player.
Yeah, he would fit in. He would fit in better with this Knicks team because if you look at our starting lineup, it's Frank at the point, who's 6'6", Dotson at shooting guard, who's 6'6", Tim Hardaway Jr., who's 6'6". I mean, that's a pretty big backcourt. And then we also have Vonleh, who's 6'9", and Mitchell Robinson, who's 7 foot. I mean, Klay Thompson would fit in perfect. He's 6'7"? He would fit in perfectly with Fizdale likes these long guards who can get in the passing lanes and cause havoc on defense.
Yes, I agree. You think that maybe Thompson, maybe he wants to be next year a bigger fish in a smaller pond, rather than just one of the Fab Five or whatever with Golden State, or one of the lesser of the Fab Five.
Yeah.
In relation to his superstar teammates.
Right.
So maybe he's a somewhat realistic hope or prospect as a free agent. But I know what you're saying. The pool of free agents for the next season, bearing in mind, Durant's probable willingness to stay with Golden State and Kyrie's stated willingness or desire to stay with Boston. We might not have that many options as we might have
right.
hoped.
I want to talk to you, though, about this is one of the most exciting reasons I'm having you on here is because so far in the podcast we've had a lot of my friends on here who are in their 20s, and they remember the Knicks from their times, vaguely, mostly in the 90s, and then they kind of block out the Marbury years and Isaiah Thomas years. And then we have fond memories of David Lee, and then, of course, their last big playoff run with Melo and Amari in that 2012-2013 season where we went to the conference semis. But I'm excited to have you on because you're my first guest who grew up a Knicks fan and were there in the 70s. I mean, you got to see them win their championships. And so let's talk about the good times.
Yeah,
from the 70s.
Happy.
And I want to preface this by saying we go way back because you and my dad had season tickets back in the 70s. How much did those cost?
Well, I was giving some thought to that, and I guess I could have gone online to try to research that. But I'll just give you a quick kind of overview of how it all started. Your dad and I went to school together, grade school, junior high. In high school, we both started getting the Knicks on our radar more. And so specifically after the 1969-70 season, of course, and the Knicks won the championship in 1970, your dad and I went in with some other kids, some other of our friends in high school, and there were 4 or maybe 5 of us that went in to share tickets for the upcoming 70-71 season. So that was really the first year that I was involved with season tickets for the Knicks.
Now,
so
how does 4 or 5 high school kids? Because when I was in high school, I didn't have any money. I was poor.
The thing is, we had at least 5 people in the group. So if you break that down, it becomes, let's say, 8 games. 2 tickets, and we started out in section, what was at the time, and I doubt it's still called the same, because now we were in what used to be section 331 of what were the green seats. The green level was the second highest level up. The blue seats were the highest, the green were the next highest. But we were fairly low in the section 331. The 2 seats we had were looked down towards the baseline. So we had kind of a side view of the court, just about even with the baseline. I'm remembering something about tickets not costing any more than like $7.50 a ticket, believe it or not. And I remember pricing in that range. So for $15, each of us had a pair of tickets for 1 game, and then if we maxed out based upon 5 people in the group at, let's say, 8 games a piece, that's 8 times 15. So it was not a fortune as compared to today's prices.
Right. Now, before this, you sent me the YouTube links, which
yes,
I've had them bookmarked since you first sent them to me.
Okay.
It doesn't look like you guys are that high up in the video.
Oh, no, what happened was, and if anybody's interested in seeing some of my home movies,
we'll tweet them out. So we'll tweet out the link, the YouTube link, so people can see it. Yeah.
So just the backstory on that is that when I was young, and in high school, junior high, back in the late '60s, I was always interested in movies, and I envisioned that I would be a movie director in the future, and I had that passion for movies. Sometimes you read about or you hear interviews with Steven Spielberg, or I just saw an interview with Ben Stiller this morning saying, "Oh yeah, when I was 15, I had an 8mm camera, and I would make movies with my friends." And that's exactly what I did as well. I made a lot of. In fact, your dad is in some of my old movies. I would do takeoffs on like Dracula, takeoffs on Frankenstein, and so I had.
I would love to see those.
Oh, I'll show. Those are all on my YouTube channel, so I'll make sure I send you the links, particularly the ones that had your dad in it as one of my stars.
Yes. Oh my God! Please send me that.
Of course. So during the first couple of years that I had the tickets, the 70, 71, 72, I brought my movie camera with me to the games, to a number of games. And anybody that looks in on any of these the movies that I have posted on YouTube, what I did was we just basically, when they were warming up, we just went down to the floor. Your dad and I, because he was with me on most of the games I went to, the guards were more tolerant then. And given that I had a movie camera with me, I just stood on the side of the courts on the floor, and basically most of the footage that I have is footage of the teams warming up. So that's what I concentrated on, because I've got a lot of nice shots of the Knicks, and I've got the Bucks with Lou Alcindor at the time, and Big O.
Oh my God!
I've got the Lakers with Jerry West and Chamberlain. I've got Pete Maravich, who I believe was with the Hawks at that time.
Yeah, he was.
And so I was able to get a lot of good close-up footage of them warming up, so which I thought was great. And then when I went up to my seats, I took some footage also of some game footage, but that footage shows more accurately what my real in-game perspective of the games was. That was higher up from the green seats. But otherwise, I shot the footage of them warming up, and it was after I did it, after I shot the footage, and I really, after the 72 season, I went to college, went to Boston U. Of course, I've kept my season tickets through now. I still have them. I'm definitely one of the longest tenured season ticket holders, for sure, since the 1970-71 season.
Yeah.
But when I went to college, I wasn't able to go to as many games, or I just didn't bother bringing my camera with me to those games that I went. So all the Knicks home movies that I have are confined to a 2-year period.
Right.
But, it's good stuff. What happened? I was going to say that after I took the movies and showed them to your dad and friends, we had fun looking at them. I basically stored them away for decades, and it was probably about 5 years ago that I started going through the footage, looking at the movies over again, and then thinking, boy, this would be just ideal to post on YouTube, and maybe other people will be interested in seeing these things.
Any basketball historian, or if you're looking to make a basketball documentary on some of these classic players, I mean, watching these videos are such a trip. Any basketball fan, and remember, these videos, they don't have sound.
True.
So, man, watching these videos are such a trip. You get to see all these Hall of Famers up close and personal. Definitely go watch it. It's an experience. We tweeted it out. And Jay, you're still the season ticket holder. They're still under your names, but now there's 4 of us, and you divvy them up. Each person gets 11 games. My dad's tickets were passed down on to my brother and myself. And the way we do it is we do a draft for these tickets. Is that how it was always done? Was that always how you guys did it? Was there always a draft? I remember my dad would always go into the city. You guys would be in the city and have dinner and do the draft over a dinner.
Yes, I mean, it goes back so far. I can't honestly remember exactly how we divvied up the tickets going back to when we were 15 years old or 16 years old as juniors in high school. We must have gotten together, we probably pulled numbers out of a hat, which essentially is what we still do today. And then when your dad and I got older, and different people, your dad and I were two constants within the ticket group,
right,
since 70, 71, for decades and decades and decades until your dad passed away 7 years ago. Other people had come and gone in the group. My brother was in for a while. A friend of my brother from school, from high school, was in the group for a while. A neighbor of mine who was a good friend. So other people have come and gone, but the Haber and Raskin families have been the only 2 constants within the group.
Yeah.
And then as we did get into the 90s and such, and we got some guys in the group that we were socially friends with, of course, and everything, we did make it it was a big deal for us to have, as you mentioned, our annual ticket draft. What we would do for a number of years is your dad and I and our other friends, Phil and Richie, who were in the group, we made a point of having dinner in New York, scheduling a dinner together. Friend Phil, for a number of years, got us a private room at this restaurant called Kennedy's in Manhattan.
I didn't know it was a private room.
Yeah, Phil had connections. Phil Cassiopo, good friend, had connections at this restaurant. And I remember more often than not pretty much having this room to ourselves. We would kind of joke sometimes that was going to be the highlight of the season, when we were into some of the leaner seasons, that our Knicks draft dinner was going to be the highlight of the season.
Right.